Chol Moed Pesach, we don't say full Hallel. That's because on the Yom Shvi of Pesach we don't say full Hallel. And why on Yom Shvi of Pesach, why don't we say full Hallel? That's because the Mitzrayim were dying in the Yam, and Klal Yisrael was going free from their pursuers. So it wasn't appropriate to sing Shira, that the Malakim should sing Shira, or the Klal Yisrael should sing Shira at that particular point, and therefore we don't say a full Hallel for Chol Moed and Shvi Shel Pesach. In contrast, however, we do sing a full Hallel on Hanukkah, right? So to understand the explanation why Hanukkah is different, we have to think about a little bit about Hallel itself and what is our avoda in saying Hallel on Hanukkah. As we'll go through the Al Nisim, we'll see that you have to be sensitive to what the emphasis of the Al Nisim is. So let's continue, and then when we get to the points that'll help us with the question of Hallel, we'll fit them in as we go further on in the Al Nisim. Yeah, who would like to begin? We're starting it from Bimei Mitzyahu. Yeah, you'd like to...
Sounds like it should be meant.
Just a Kohen.
Okay. In the center?
Yeah, you have it there?
What am I reading? The Hanukkah?
You buy Hanukkah, yeah.
Okay. Bimei Hatisyahu ben Yochanan, Kohen Gadol, Hashimonai Uvanav, Kashe Amada Malchus, Yavan Harisha'a Al Amacha Yisrael, Lahashkicham,
right, Lahashkicham, very good. Right.
Torah Secha, Uha'aviram Mechuke Ritzonecha Va'ata.
Okay, so that's basically one complete section. So let's say that out in English. What does that mean in English?
In the days of Mattityahu, the son of Yochanan, the high priest, the Hasmonean, and his sons, when the wicked Greek kingdom rose up against your people Israel, to make them forget your Torah and compel them to stray from the statutes of your will.
Okay, so those were the two goals of the Greeks. The two goals of the Greeks were that we should forget Torah and we should transgress the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, that's what they set out to do.
Va'ata b'rachamecha harabim amadta lahim ba'es tzarasam.
So what does that mean?
You, in your great mercy, stood up for them in the time of their distress.
Okay, right. And as we saw in the Mishna Berura, we went into the things that were occurring at the time of Hanukkah that led us to rebel. They were not only did they stop us from learning and fulfilling mitzvahs, but they were also Pashat Yedehem b'Mamono. They took our money away. They violated our women. Right? There was tremendous lachats and tsar that they were causing to the Klal Yisrael. So finally, that led to us to rebel against them. That was the tsar. That was the distress, right? The pain that we were experiencing because of the oppression of the Greeks.
Masorta Giborim Biyad Halashim V'Rabim Bayad Ma'atim Utmeim Bayad Tahorim Ushaim Biyad Tzadikim V'Zerim Bayad Osakei Torah Secha.
That's Zadim. Zadim.
I want to see one thing here.
Yeah.
It says Masata Gibur Biyad Chalasim.
Right.
Were they really weak?
Very,
It was
very
so strong, they beat the whole entire interior of Greece.
Yeah,
Can that be?
because it was through miracles that Hashem was doing. It wasn't because of their strength. It wasn't their strength. First of all, you have to realize when it became Ma'atim that there were few, right? So,
Thank you.
Most of them, so this will be in part this Zos of Berura, the bracha of Levi. Moshe Rabbeinu in the last days giving brachas to Klal Yisrael. So Levi, and that's by Sheni. That's not by Sheni. It's on Daf Kuf Sameh. But for you, Yao, you will find it here in chapter Lamed Gimel. So the chapter Lamed Gimel. It starts on Pasuk Ches. Starts on Pasuk Ches. We're going to go a few something further than that. One more. This is the bracha for Levi now, but we'll see. Let's see where it is. Pasuk Yud Aleph. You have the Pasuk Yud Aleph there. That's in chapter Lamed Gimel, Pasuk Yud Aleph. Right? Not to say you want to read the English, the Pasuk, and then we're going to look at Rashi. When we get to Rashi.
And of Levi, he said.
That's starting at Pasuk Ches at the beginning, by Sheni. Go ahead.
Thy Thummim and thy Urim be with thy pious one, whom thou didst prove at Massah. Thou didst try him at the waters of Meribah, who said of his father and of his mother, I have not seen him, neither did he acknowledge his brethren, nor knew he his own children, for they have observed thy word, and keep thy covenant. They shall teach thine ordinances to Jacob, and Israel thy law. They shall put incense before thee, and whole burnt offerings upon the altar. Bless, Lord, his substance, and accept the work of his hands. Smite through the loins of them that rise up against him, and of them that hate him, that they not rise again.
Okay, so that last statement, or you just repeat that last statement,
Smite through the loins of them that rise up against him, and of them that hate him, that they rise not again.
Okay, so this statement of Moshe Rabbeinu to the tribe of Levi, Rashi explains the Pshat. You look there in Rashi, Pasuk Yud Aleph in Rashi, Ma'afetz Misnaim. Rashi gives two basic interpretations, explanations of the bracha of Moshe Rabbeinu. We're interested in more of the second one, but go ahead and start from the very beginning in Yud Aleph. You have the translation there?
Okay. And of Levi he said, thy Thummim and thy Urim.
Just go to 11. Go to the 11th verse.
Okay. In Rashi?
Yeah, in Rashi.
Okay. You read the Hebrew?
You could read it just in. I'll read the Hebrew. It's going on the pasuk part of Machatz Masnaim Kamov. Machatz Kamov Makas masnaim ki inyin shenemar masnaihem tamid hama'ad ha'ma'orim al kahuna. Referring to the Quran. Go, you can translate that. Go ahead.
Smite through the loins of them that rise up against him. Smite those that rise up against him with the smiting of the loin, with the smiting of the loins, as in the matter that is stated, Psalm 69, verse 24. And make their loins continually to totter. And against those who contest the priesthood, he speaks thus.
Okay, so that's the first way of understanding the pasuk, that it's talking about those who come against the priesthood, the kahuna. Davar acher. This is what we want to know for our purposes right now. Davar, another explanation.
Another interpretation is he foresaw that.
That's Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu foresaw. He saw Berura Kodesh.
That Mattathias, the Hasmonean, and his sons are destined to battle with the Greeks. And he prayed for them, for they were few. 12 Hasmoneans and Eleazar against many myriads. Therefore it is stated, bless Lord, his host, and accept the work of his hands.
So Moshe Rabbeinu saw that there will be 12 of the sons of Mattathias and Eleazar, I think 13, right? They'll be fighting against hundreds of thousands. So that's what we mean when it's ma'at. So ma'at means that they're, you could with
How much ma'at?
How does he get 12?
How does he get 12? Those were the sons of Mattathias.
He had 5 sons or 12 sons?
According to Rashi here, he has 12 sons. 12 sons. And if he had 30 sons, it would make a difference. 100 sons, it would make a difference. Fighting against hundreds of thousands.
Still the underdog.
Yeah, they had more elephants than 12 sons. So Moshe Rabbeinu had a special prayer that gave him the Siyata D'Shmaya. When the time came, the prayer was answered. So that's what we mean ma'at here in the Ya'al Nisim, right? So also when we're chalash, we have to understand that they were, because you, again, as I mentioned yesterday, I mean, I'll go into a little bit more in the coming weeks. Though any Jews that wanted to oppose the Greeks, the ruling forces in Eretz Yisrael at the time, they had to go into hiding. Right? They had to go into hiding. There's a Gemara in Shabbos, and it's a halacha. A person on Shabbos can't wear pleated shoes. Well, I can't wear pleated shoes. Can't wear pleated shoes, right? Because they those at the time of the Greek oppressions had to hide in caves. And they would wear pleated shoes to go out to forage for food, because they didn't want that not necessarily the enemy Greeks, Syrian Greeks, would inform upon them, but their own fellow Jews, they would be searched. They would know that the Jews that wanted to keep Torah and mitzvahs would be hiding, keeping Shabbos and learning Torah in the caves, and they wouldn't be able to come out. And they didn't have any food. Anytime they would, go out, they would, be caught and be recognized as a religious Jew, and they'd be informed upon. So they had to hide in caves. So they wore pleated shoes, so when they would walk around, they wouldn't leave footprints.
Spikes?
Yeah, like spikes. Yeah, like spikes. Spikes. So there was one event that a person came in to a cave, and they caused a panic, and because they were wearing these shoes, I believe it was maybe on Shabbos. I'll have to refresh my memory and go over the Gemara, go over the halakha. I'll tell you more accurately tomorrow or the next day, but because the panic and people were stampeding in the cave, instead of just being trampled, they got stabbed on by these spikes and cleated shoes. It was a terrible, terrible situation. So they made a gezerah, no cleated shoes on Shabbos. I'll try and refresh my memory, as I said, to accurately say over the event. So that just goes to show that any Jews that were loyal to Torah and mitzvahs had to hide away, and food was not readily available to them. And not only that, when they would go out to to war, our way of doing things, as we learned in Hilchos Purim, if you remember, that we would go out to war fasting. So in not only being physically weak because of this general situation, but fasting also, you're not strong from nourishment, from food. But in general, they were very they weren't, they didn't have military bases where they were training and working out and doing exercises and things like this. These were who it was. It was the Zaydim, the rebellious Biyad Oski Torah Secha, those who were Isaac in Torah, right? The Isaac in Torah, they weren't just, the Isaac in Torah means that's our prophet. Isaac in Torah, what's Isaac? The Chafetz Chaim explains what's Isaac in Torah. Isaac in Torah, Isaac is a business. You make a business out of Torah. Anybody who knows anything about business, when you're in business, you're Rosh Berura, you're in it day and night. That's a business, especially if it's your own business. If you're punching a clock, you're a manager for somebody, you check in, you check out. And the headache is over when you check out. But if it's your own business, right, you're in it day and night. You eat, sleep, and live the business. That's how a person has to be involved with Torah. It has to be a oisik in it yom v'layla. That's his complete obsession for the whole day. Is all waking, and even when he's sleeping, he's privileged. He can even dream about Torah. He's privileged. So we're talking about people that weren't. We don't think this military might that was behind the nisim and miracles that the Kadosh Baruch Hu did for him. It was actually the nisim, miracles, and the Kadosh Baruch Hu's siyata d'shmaya that he gave to those who won the wars, who fought the wars and won the wars, which were very, very few. Very, very, very few. So, Cholashim, we may get a point of Cholashim. Speak more about these things in the coming weeks, Be'ez Hashem. So let's continue. So Cholashim, right? So Masra Giborim Biad Cholashim. So he gave over the mighty into the hands of the weak, Rabin Biad Matim, the many in the hands of the few, Biad Tahori, the defiled ones in the hands of the pure ones. Maybe we're not going to spend time on this today. There's a special mention of Tameim Biad Tahorim. It's not really in keeping with the rest of the things that are mentioned here. We're mentioning things which are really physically and, let's say, empirically observable, right? The Giborim Biad Chalashim, that's something which is empirical, right? Rabim Biad Tmeim, that's something Matim, that's something which is empirical, right? Then you have Tmeim, which Tahorim, that's something which is not necessarily empirical, right? Then you have Rishonim Biad Tzadikim, right? So that's also can also have some type of a empirical, observable yardstick of the Rishonim and the
What does empirical mean?
Observable. Yeah, observable. They speak about having empirical evidence, talking about observable evidence. You can have evidence which is not, but empirical evidence is something which is observable and somewhat verifiable. Right? So Rishonim Biad Tzadikim, that's also somewhat observable and verifiable. And Zaydim Bioski El Sorasecha, the rebellious ones against those who are involved with Torah. And so here we have Tameim Biad Tahorim. This is somewhat of a different type of a category. We'll try and spend more time on that in the coming weeks, please. Okay. Now what happened? Ulacha, go ahead and let this go.
Ulacha asisa, Shem Gadol v'kadosh ba'olamecha, u'amacha Yisrael, asisa teshua gadola, u'firkan kahayom hazeh.
Okay, let's stop and translate that.
For yourself, you made a great and holy name in your world, and for your people Israel, you worked a great victory and salvation as this very day.
Okay, so now when we hopefully come back to the question we asked yesterday and again just in review today about Purkan being a singular, right? So here we're mentioning Purkan, right? And also Teshua, right? So we have Teshua and Purkan. So it's a here where we're mentioning it, it's obviously a specific reference, right? But it may be a key to understanding why Purkan in the preface to the Al Nisim Ala Purkan, which is singular, Nisim is plural, Ala Geburos is plural, Ala Teshuos is plural, Ala Milchamas is plural. So maybe we can, as we get further in, closer to Hanukkah, maybe we can understand why Purkan might be singular up above, and here it's also singular. But the only question I have is if we're going to try and use this as a way of understanding what Purkan above means. It mentions Ashisha Teshua, so Teshua also is repeated, and so maybe Teshua should have been also singular up above too. So let's just hold on to these comments for a while. Achu Kain afterwards. Go ahead.
V'achar Kain ba'u vanecha lidvir beisecha.
What's that mean?
Thereafter, your children came to the Holy of Holies of your house.
And that's the Beis Hamikdash, yeah, that's talking about the Beis Hamikdash.
Ufinu es heichalecha v'tiharu es mikdashecha. They cleansed your temple, purified the site of your holiness, V'hiliku neiros bahatzros kadshecha. They kindled the lights in the courtyards of your sanctuary. V'kava'u shemonas yamei Chanukah alu lihodos uhalel l'shimcha Hagadol. And they established these 8 days of Hanukkah to express thanks and praise to your great name.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So we'll go over this again a little bit more. The Al Nisim contains all the things we really need to know about Hanukkah in very short summary. So, getting back to the question about Hallel, so we see basically two emphases here in the Al Nisim. We mentioned about the miracles that were done during the Nitzachon, the victory, the victory that took place, and then you also see at the end there was a mention of the lighting of the Neiros, right? But significantly, and this is not my own comment, this is a widely known and accepted comment, that the miracle that the Gemara mentions about the Pak Shemen, finding the Pak Shemen, is not mentioned in the Al Nisim, right? Of all the miracles that are mentioned, the miracles seem to be the victorious miracles. That seems to be our emphasis here in Tefillah. And the miracle that the Gemara mentions, right, which is the Pak Shemen, which is only mentioned, and they were Madlik Neres B'Chatzros Kadshecha, right? So, but without any, if you wouldn't know it, right, you take a guy, fresh off the plane, meet him at the Koisel in a couple of weeks at Hanukkah, say, what's all this about? Say, well, I'll tell you all about it here. Okay, read this in English. You got your art scroll there. Read this in. Okay, so okay, so it was a big battle and a great victory, what's all the big celebration all about? He says, oh, there was a miracle with the menorah. Says, I just had me read all this. I said, there's no miracle about the menorah over here. And he says that they lit Neros, Lahatzos Kachka. They lit the Neros, the lights, so that's another question, this is a question which is asked and answered by a lot of different commentaries, and we'll be getting to that as well, because it was left out obviously intentionally. Right? And the Gemara, when I asked the question in the Gemara in my Hanukkah, it mentioned the discovery of the Pak Shemen, and it really didn't mention much about the Nitzachon, about the victory. Right? So just to answer, because we'll have to switch to Mr. Berura in a moment, basically what we could begin to try and understand with what we're doing with Hallel, we have to try and understand when we're saying Hallel, why are we saying Hallel? Okay, so I'll speak. I'll bring the. We'll go into it. There's a Tosfos in more in Titus. But I'll just tell you briefly today. Tosfos explains that the Hallel is a full Hallel every day of Hanukkah, because each day the miracle was growing greater and greater. Okay, so therefore it wasn't like it was a one-time thing, and we should think that because again, we have to think and realize when we're saying Hallel, what are we saying Hallel for? Right? Are we saying the Hallel for the victory, or are we saying Hallel for the miracle of the Ner, of the oil? Right? Or are we saying it for both? Okay, so our question was, well, on Pesach we don't say Hallel, a full Hallel, because of those poor Mitzrim dying, right? So maybe we should not say a full Hallel on Hanukkah because of those poor Greeks dying, right? If we don't say Hallel on Pesach because of the Egyptians dying, so the Greeks were dying also, right? So, but however, if we're saying it Hallel on Hanukkah, not because of the victory, but because of the miracle of the oil, it has nothing to do with the Greeks. Right? But again, when we're trying to say Hallel in a few weeks, we should try and realize what we're saying Hallel for and why and what. So we'll continue the Mishna tomorrow with this a bit more. I brought some of the, this is the little sefer that I was, based on the lectures of Rav Scheinberg. You might have seen it just last year. I have one, it's in Hebrew and in English. Okay, so anyone.
We have one on the Bayit Mishpacha.
Yeah,
one on
Tisha B'Av.
Tisha B'Av.
Tisha B'Av, right.
Is there another one?
This is one on Hanukkah. In Hanukkah. Hebrew or English, whatever you prefer. It's 20 shekels. Don't be. This is the American price, $14.95. But that's, don't worry about that. That's the American price. This is Eretz Yisrael for 20 shekels. And he was interested. He'll be around. And
Thank you.
Very well. Good. Again, Matzav, if you see Rav Fairman, you could just be in touch. I'll try and mail him an email also on the subject about the Hanukkah party, but it's worth if I get things moving on that soon. Please go in the other room. All right. Top shelf is there in the room? Put it horizontal on top. Maybe you have. Thank you.
Yes, yeah. I put this on.
Remember that used to daven in the years? Yeah. Remember the candles on Shabbos Hanukkah?
Are you from Washington?
I was working in YU before I came to Eretz Yisrael. So I was living in Washington Heights.
You davened it?
I davened in Victoria. Basically, mostly on Shabbos, not during the week so much, because I was living on the other side of the river.
What year was this?
I guess around 80, something like that. Where were you in 80?
I was in New Orleans in the Superdome watching the Dogs win the national title on the 42-yard line. I was 12 years old. That's where I was in 1980.
College Franco goes up the big ladder.
Yeah.
Ladder. Hato!
Beautiful, it's beautiful.
That's when the show was the same pattern.
Yeah.
Same.
good girl.
Amen.
The choir.
Yeah, all those beautiful. Yeah, before Meyer on Shabbos, I would go to hear Rav Schwab itself, give his brusher.
So all the boys line up in front of the Raf. They get
Kiddush.
bench
Kiddush on Friday.
first Kiddush, then you go.
Yeah.
Way bench group, drop bench group, way bench.
Okay. We're just finishing up Sif base here in Tough Race Iron, Sif base. Yeah, we have to really just do the Ramah, but if you like, let's start from the beginning. Rachmi, you like to read the Movavi of the Ramah, and we're starting with Sifkat and Zion.
Before Sudot and Shmabim, and him Sudot will shoot. The meals that are eaten are optional meals. Shlo Kivalum, they didn't arrange them, establish them.
Tough Race Iron, Sif base.
Mishna, for a feast, or a simcha, for rejoice.
Have they more?
Yeah.
Good.
Hagav, the Yeshomrim, those say, there's some mitzvah before Sudot. There is a little bit of a mitzvah in the Rebuy Sudot of the meals. Shemishum Tvotan on Yamim Chanukah Mizbeach. On those days was the how you say it, or
Inauguration.
inauguration. That's it. Inauguration of the Mizbeach, of the altar. Zion. Continue read.
Yeah, finish the Ramah.
Nogin Ramaz, and we're accustomed to say Zmirot, songs and Tishbachot and praises and Sudot Amabimhem. Nogin Sudot Shabimhem as Abisuda Mitzvah. And then there will be considered a Sudas Mitzvah. We say praises and songs.
Very good.
Praise Hashem. And it will be a mitzvah, the meal will be a mitzvah.
Exactly.
יש אומרים שיש לאכול גבינה בחנוכה.
זה חשוב. That's most important.
Those will say that they should eat cheese on Chanukah. לפי שהנס נעשה בחלב, that the miracle was done by milk. שהאכילה יהודית, that she fed him יהודית, את האויב, at the enemy.
Because the enemy cheese. So Mishna will explain what cheese have to do with the enemy. Yeah. Yeah.
How does so kind of York become so big?
Yeah.
Chalavi is being stressed that's the important thing.
Right. So why is
you should be having dairy like Shavuos.
Oh, Shavuos, right? You have dairy also.
yes? That's another. There's another reason for why Shavuos is dairy also. But no, there are some that might be to have dairy on Hanukkah. the other minhagim we have the latkes and we have ganiyot and
So where that come from? It's
okay, good. But hold on, we'll let's learn the Mishnah. We'll see if we have an answer to that question.
it seems like you say we should be.
That's right. That's what's mentioned in the halacha, the halavi. Correct. Yeah. Doesn't say about having oily potato pancakes tonight. That's not in the Torah. For the Ramah. Tough race ayin. Oops. Again, just to recap with the Ramah says that the Mechaber said the Hanukkah parties are optional; they're not a Sudas mitzvah. However, the Ramah is there is somewhat of a mitzvah involved in it, because on those days of Hanukkah, from Chaf Hey Kislev onward for 8 days, that was the time of the Hanukkah Zabayas of the Mizbeach and the Beis Hamikdash and the Mishkan. We'll see Mishna was going to explain. And then we also know those who are knowing that they sing Zmiros and Tishbachos, praises, songs of praise and thanksgiving, that turns the Suda into a Sudas mitzvah. Okay, let's see the Mishnah Berura, cut in Zion.
Zion. What are you mean? Shlomo is to say that Shrim B'Chamisha B'Kislev, 25th of Kislev, Kita b'Midrash, the Melechet Mishkan, that the work of the Mishkan, Nigmar b'Shrim B'Chamisha B'Kislev, Kislev, it was finished. The work of the Mishkan, the building of the Mishkan was finished. The works of the Mishkan was finished on the 25th of Kislev. Ella.
Right. So basically, just a little bit of the background here, as I understand it, Moshe Rabbeinu came down with the Luchos Shnis on Yud Tishrei, 10th of Tishrei. Okay, and then at that point he was given the tzivoy from Kodesh Baruch Hu, given the command from Kodesh Baruch Hu to build the Mishkan. So that's when the call went out throughout the camp, the Machaneh, that people should bring gold and silver and all the necessary building materials for the Mishkan. Right? That's what's basically Parshas Truma. You look at Parshas Truma, talks about that. So that collection of building materials took a very short time. Within a very short time, within several days, if I'm not mistaken, they had gotten all the building materials. Everyone, Nediv Lev, the generous people of Klal Yisrael, they gave generously to the needs of the building of the Beis Hamikdash, the Mishkan, and they had all the building materials assembled. So then, the commands were given to Moshe Rabbeinu on how and what to build for the Mishkan. And with Bezalel came to help him in crafting all the different kalim artifacts of the Mishkan and the tents that covered it and the walls that surrounded it, and building the menorah and the mizbeach and all the other things, the shulchan, and to dye all the to make the threads and dye the threads and dye the skins. Everything had to be made for the big day kahuna. All these things were the commands were given to Moshe Rabbeinu, and then the work began. And as we see here, that the work ended on the 25th of Kislev. Okay, so then there's basically a question: if it ended on Chafei Kislev, so what's the next step? After you build the Mishkan, so you should just build it, right? You not just collect all the various different parts and have it disassembled. You should actually assemble the Mishkan. So what happened?
Elohim Sheintin. They delayed it or they waited. This people waited. Bakama for the building it until Nissan.
So Kadosh Baruch Hu waited to assemble the Mishkan, even though it was completed, and all the parts were ready for assembly on the 25th of Kislev. The Kadosh Baruch Hu waited until Nissan to actually assemble the Mishkan. Why?
Shenolad Bo Yitzchak. This was born in Nissan. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Alay L'Shalem L'Kislev. I want to repay Kislev for not building the Mishkan in the month of Kislev. So he wanted to repay the month of Kislev, Yishilem, Lo Chanukah, Beit Hashmonai. And he gave them, Shilem them, paid them the Chanukah Beit Hashmonai, the inauguration of the house of Hashmonai.
So since it really was befitting that the Mishkan be assembled for the first time in Kislev, but nevertheless Kadosh Baruch Hu had reasons to wait till Nisan. So Hashem wanted to repay, so to speak, Kislev back. That shouldn't be lacking the days of celebration that would have been corresponding to the building assembly of the base Mishkan. Therefore Hashem gave the base Hashmonaim the opportunity to have the Hanukkah Mizbeach during the days of Hanukkah at the end of Kislev. Okay.
Hashem knew this was going to happen.
Yeah,
Is that what?
Yeah, Kadosh Baruch Hu understood. I mean, again, we are within time and space and matter, like energy, matter, time and space. That's our existence, right? But Kadosh Baruch Hu was beyond all that. So Hashem knew what was going to be. Just as Hashem said for Moshe Rabbeinu to wait till Nisan, He didn't give the command that. I mean, there's a basic question here: if it's all ready to go, right? So there's a basic mahalach in the Avodas Hashem, Zrizi Makdim and the mitzvahs, right? You're not supposed to wait till 9:30 in the morning to daven Shachris, and if you have a bris milah, you're not supposed to wait until till afternoon. If there's other things. Hashkim b'boker, we learn from Avram Avinu, basic avodas Hashem. You have to be Zoris, you have to be eager and excited and alacrite in serving Kadosh Baruch Hu. You shouldn't be lazy in serving Kadosh Baruch Hu. So what's this idea of the Mishkan's all ready to go and you're going to wait from Kislev all the way to Nisan for 4 months, 5 months or so? That doesn't seem to be Derek Hashem. Derek Hashem is using my people in the mitzvahs. You got a mitzvah to do, you do it right away. Al tak mitzenu. You have a mitzvah to do, don't let it sour. You never know what's going to happen. Who knows what could happen? It's a pella. I mean, who knows? Kal Yisrael built a Mishkan. You keep it in cold storage there for 4 or 5 months. It's all ready to go. That doesn't seem like a very appropriate thing to do. So, nevertheless, the Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted, for reasons that the Mishnah doesn't explain, wanted to wait until Nisan, when Yitzchak was born. What's the connection? Nisan, the birth of Yitzchak and Nisan, that should be the time of the Kamas Mishkan. Okay, there are obviously reasons for that. We can go into that in detail if we're not next point. I'm prepared for that. But, yeah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw it all.
There was going to be Greeks that they were going to try wanted to destroy us.
Yeah, we just read in the Chumash. Moshe Rabbeinu gave the bracha to Levi. Moshe Rabbeinu gave the bracha to Levi at the time of the 40 years after coming out of Mitzrayim. Moshe Rabbeinu saw that there's going to be Hashmonaim. He saw there's going to be 10 sons of Hashmonai and Eliezer, and he's going to have to give them a bracha, the Bnei Levi, that they should be successful. Moshe Rabbeinu saw that. Right? That's right. Rashi says it, right?
So Moshe Rabbeinu saw that we were going to be bad, the was going to be destroyed, and
yeah, it was. Rashi says even more than that. You take a look at the Rashis there, and the last few parshas in Devarim, Moshe Rabbeinu saw everything. He saw Shimshon, he saw the good things, he saw the bad things. I always have the question: why did the Kadosh Baruch Hu have to allow him to see all these things. I don't understand why exactly, but maybe one day I'll understand better. But yeah, Moshe Rabbeinu saw quite a lot. There's something, again, a person's only allowed to see what Hashem wants him to see. How do we know that? We're having a few weeks parshas, right? Yosef is going to be sold down to Mitzrayim. Right? Another 2 parshas. Yosef is going to be sold to Mitzrayim. And Yaakov Avinu is going to be led to believe that he's dead. He's going to be led to believe he's dead. Right? And at that time, Yitzchak was still alive. Right? Yitzchak was still alive. And Yitzchak saw Baruch HaKodesh that Yosef was alive and well in Mitzrayim. Yitzchak Avinu saw and knew that Yosef was alive and well in Mitzrayim. And here his son, Yitzchak's son Yaakov, is in mourning, right, for 22 years. He didn't have Ruach HaKodesh. Rashi says, of course, the 22 years he was in mourning because he thought that Yosef was dead. He didn't have Ruach HaKodesh. And he was upset because of Yosef's apparent death. Because obviously it said he didn't have that devotion and connection to Kodesh Baruch Hu. And Yitzchak Avinu, his father, knew that Yosef was there, well and alive. So he tapped him on the shoulder. Yaakov, don't worry about it. He's there. Because Yitzchak understood, if Yaakov Avinu wasn't given the nevuah, that Yaakov Avinu was alive and well in Mitzrayim, and he, Yitzchak, was given the nevuah, he understood Hashem didn't want Yaakov to know. So if Hashem didn't want Yaakov to know, he can't tell. He can't tell. So not everyone, even on the highest Madrigas, is allowed to see everything. It still allows people to see what he wants them to see. Big lesson, yeah. Yitzchak Avinu, he knew that Yosef was alive and well. He didn't tell. Because he knew that was the Ratzon Hashem, that Yaakov Avinu shouldn't know. And see what it means to see a father see his son suffer. For 22 years, not just suffer a little bit. Tremendous limud, tremendous limud. So yeah, so Kadosh Baruch Hu let Moshe Rabbeinu see that the Bnei Levi would be in a tight squeeze in the time of Hanukkah with the Hashmonoim and the 12 sons and Eliezer, so he gave him a special bracha. Yeah. Okay. So therefore, he shleim lo Hanukkah's abayis beis hamashmonoi. So therefore, Kislev was paid back by Kadosh Baruch Hu that there would be, the month of Kislev would be containing within it the time of the inauguration of the Bayis Hashmonoi. Vigam, go ahead.
Vigam, Sham b'mei Antiochus, Simur HaHeichal. Defiled the temple. Asu Chanukah Habayit. They did an inauguration of the Bayit, of the house. Shmona Yamim, in 8 days. In these 8 days, Elu, Habayit.
Right. So therefore, that's the connection. Meaning, in the time of the Hashmonoim, Antiochus was the time of the Heichal. He defiled the Heichal, and there they made a Hanukkah's. Bayis Moshe Biyam Ha'em. Those 8 days they rededicated, they re-inaugurated the Bayis, the Beis HaMikdash. Yeah. Okay. So therefore, we have this reason why, if we celebrate on Hanukkah, we can add to our celebration the fact that there was the Hanukkah's Habayis of the Beis Hashmonoi. Okay? And if now we go further, if you sing praises to Kadosh Baruch Hu, songs of praise and joy over the Inyan of Hanukkah, then that's also the question. What are we singing? We'll have to try and, just like, what are we saying Hallel about? Right? Is it for the victory, or is it for the miracle of the oil, or is it for both? So what are we singing our joyous songs of praise and thanks to Kadosh Baruch Hu? Is it because of the victory, or is it for the oil, or is it for both?
There was a building there still when they did the Chanukah Sabais? But they just did a korban over there. They did korban that day.
Exactly what they did on that particular day, it's explained. I have to review what's explained, when it came in, what they did. The more in Shabbos, and also Vodazor explains that the first menorah they made was of wood, overlaid with lead, and then they finally got richer and they made it of solid metal, and then they made it of silver, of gold, and then finally going back to the thing. But the whole place was a shambles. I mean, I wasn't there, but from what I could tell, the place was an absolute wreck. An absolute wreck. Yeah, and again, they didn't have too many people to help him, and also it wasn't only Kohanim could go there, and even then they would come in mace.
Even if it was they couldn't.
Czar could not.
Nobody could go in there.
Apparently not. I don't think so. I mean, even a Kohen who's, I guess if the old Tamei Mace, these are halachas, I'm not 100% sure about. If they're old Tamei Mace, how could they go in anyway? I guess the Kohen who's Tamei, I don't have to understand what they had to was to go in there before.
Because everybody was Tamei Mace.
Could be. Well, that's the question. See, if a Rovitzi was Tamei Mace, right? So that's doing a certain thing. Certain carbonates can be brought, right? But I'm not sure. But I guess it must follow if you can bring certain carbonates. Obviously, a Kohen can come into the Azara because you can't be marked with the korban without without a korban, someone coming inside. But yeah. But again, there weren't many people there around to help, for sure. And again, don't. I mean, again, I wasn't there, but I can imagine it wasn't exactly the the safest situation. There was still the war. In fact, it continued. It didn't really exactly end on that day. That's when they retook the Beis Hamikdash, right? They regained the control of the Beis Hamikdash. I don't think that they completely routed the enemy. There's forum written about it that they were. There's the place. They call it still today the Citadel, in the old city. They were holed up there for I think for 30 years or so. But the enemy was still hanging out in the city. Other places in Eretz Yisrael. As far as I understand some of the history, I didn't really study the history in depth, but it wasn't. It was a victory, a tremendous victory, and the miracle was a tremendous miracle in terms of the oil and in terms of the victory itself. But the situation, don't think all those people that were Hellenized, don't think they just like that, it wasn't a tremendous Baal Tshuva movement. Yeah. Zmiros, okay, let's see, Yisuf Ches, Mishna Berura.
No. Who again been this way? Bat, Talmid, Chacham, Amaretz, Im Omrim Shirot, Havei Suda Mitzvah. If they're saying praises or songs, this is considered as a Suda Mitzvah. Yeah,
this is another halacha which is Mishna Berura is adding as an aside. There's such a halacha that if you have a daughter of a Talmid Chacham, if she marries an Am Haaretz, right? So it's really not a happy occasion. A daughter of a Talmid Chacham should really be marrying a Talmid Chacham, right? If for some reason she's marrying Am Haaretz, it's really not a happy, really not considered to be a Sudas mitzvah. So if you sing shiros, you start singing songs, then it turns it into a Sudas mitzvah. So that the Mishna Berura puts in here. It's really a halakha which really belongs in Eben Ezer. Okay. As Havi Sudas mitzvah. By singing the songs, it becomes a Sudas mitzvah.
As Havi Sudas mitzvah. What's on Omar is to say, it's a combination of this. V'chen pasku Rashal, Babach, Kayesh, Omim. The Chanukah, Sudat Chanukah, there's praises and songs, then it's considered Sudat Mitzvah.
Right.
Chav Rashal, Shekol Shosei Kidei, Aten Shevach, Lamakom Shekolo say whoever does it for the sake of the praise of the Makom, of Hashem, or the Fasem, or to publicize the miracle, or mitzvah, or the mitzvah, a course Sudat mitzvah. This is all considered a Sudat mitzvah.
Right, so that'll include most of our Hanukkah parties, but what are we getting together for? We're getting together to celebrate the fact that Hashem. Yeah.
What about the Great Torah? It's like a Shirot Ishbachot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, about 100. That's also we included in the the Furst Maneser or Mitzvah to go into. You want to even just speak about Hilchos Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that also should be enough as well. Okay, so now why do we have some that say we should eat Givina cheese on Hanukkah? What's the
Hanukkah?
Yes.
She came to eat Yudit. He Haita Bito Shel Yochanan Kohen Gadol. She was the daughter of Yochanan Kohen Gadol. Now, how do we say in the Al-Nisim, we say Matyahu Kohen Ben Yochanan Kohen Gadol.
Yeah.
Is this who is this Yochanan now? Is this the father of Matyahu?
Okay, that needs a little bit.
Or is his son?
Yeah.
Or maybe both. No, I can't.
Well, no, it says again that the Al-Nisim reads as follows again. Yemei Matisyahu, in the time of Matisyahu, Ben Yochanan Kohen Gadol. Matisyahu was the Ben of Yochanan, who was the Kohen Gadol. Right?
He also had a son Yochanan, so maybe named it after his father, Matyahu.
Yeah. And so Matisyahu was Pashtus, the son of Yochanan, who was the Kohen Gadol.
Okay.
Right? So this Yehudis could have been a sister of Matisyahu. She could have been a sister of Matisyahu. Right? Yeah, for sure. Look again, they were really the only ones. They were the only ones involved. That was it. They were the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the SEALs. They were everybody. Could be later on they got some more as they were getting successes. Could be later on that they got more people to help them out. But that's history. There is again that sefer over here on the shelf goes into history pretty well. Okay. So what was she? She gave them the Givina. Who was this? She was the Bito Shel Yochanan the Kohen Gadol.
There was a decree on Shekol Arusa, who was ever engaged, to be able to tafsat chila.
Okay, so there was a decree. This is what the Mishna Berura mentioned early in the very beginning, the Hakdama, that they poshet yadam b'menosehim, that they put out there, they violated our women. Because why? They made a gezerah. Anyone who would get engaged, she would have to have relations with the local non-Jewish governor, Tehila, first. That's all it was. You get engaged, right? So you have to take a, they find out, they read about the engagement, and they come and the governor, the local non-Jewish governor would come and pay a visit to the house, and he would take your daughter and live with her. That was part of the gezerah. So there's a couple of parts of the Gemara in the very beginning of Kesubas that could go into it. We changed. The question was to change the days because we had fixed days. Berura on this says in the Yom Ravi. Yeah, that the Gemara says.
What's the Yom Ravi?
Let's see. the first parak in Kesubas. Basula nises liyom revi. Basula, a virgin gets married on the 4th day of the week. Almana, a widower, is married on the 5th day of the week.
What's the connection?
What's the connection?
There's weddings on all sorts of days.
Yeah, we do, but you should know that people still are. Yom Revi has a special preference, even Bisman is it, right? It's the Mishna, right? The Basura gets married Yom Revi, and the Malmada gets married on the 5th day. While Shepamayim b'Shabbos Bati Dinim Yoshvim Be'irios B'Yom Sheni B'Yom Chamishi, because twice a week the base dins of the cities would sit on the Yom Sheni and on Yom Chamishi. So therefore the Basula gets married on Yom Revi. Why? Why you have to get married on Yom Revi, the day before Yom Chamishi? Shim haya lo tainis Basulim, haya mashkim lebeistin. Because if this young man thought he was marrying a Basula, and it turns out she wasn't a Basula, right? So it's a difference in the Kasuba. The Kasuba is worth 200 for a Basula and only 100 for a woman who is not a Basula. So therefore he feels cheated. So he's going to go to Beis Din the next morning and make register a complaint. So because of that, because they knew
talking about changing the you were talking about the governor to confuse the governor about they would know when to come.
Exactly right. They would know, since they would know that the Jewish custom was that the woman would get married on Yom Revi, right? So therefore, they would come. They would show up on Yom Revi. The governor would show up in the town that we're going to have a chasna, and they would show up on that day, and he would demand that they fulfill the public law that they instituted, the decree that the Basulim have to stay with the non-Jew first. So
what if they refused?
And then you fight a war. And that's what happened. They started fighting a war. But a lot of people, that's the Gemara goes into whether they should refuse or not, because it's nefesh, and whether or not that's the whole question over there. That's on Dav Gimel and Gimel Amid base in Kesubas. It says here. So the Gemara says, my sakana, right? There was a sakana. The Gemara previously had mentioned about there was a sakana, some danger. The Gemara asks, my sakana, what's this sakana? What's this danger that we mentioned here? If you want to tell me that the danger is that we know that the Basula gets married on the 4th day of the week, Ta'aroig, right? So she should get killed, meaning v'nahagu legamrei nikara. So meaning if you're saying that because of the marriage that's going to be fixed on the 4th day, and they'll maybe resist and get killed, maybe that's the sakana that you're referring to, right? Nahagu legamrei nikara. So nahagu legamrei nikara. So let's just uproot the minhag. Afterwards, so the minhag that they get married on Yom Revi is not something which is necessary that they should do. Amarabe the Amri Basula, this is Yom Revi. Tiboy the Hegman. What happened there? That's the whole point. They said that a Basula gets married on Yom Revi, Tiboy the Hegman, she should have to live with the governor Techila first. So Hai Sakana, that's a Sakana. So once again, that's not, the Gemara says that's not a Sakana, it's an Oinus, right? She's Ba'oinus. So ha mishum ika tsunuris, So you have two types of women. You have some women who are tsunuyim, which are very modest, and they're going to they'll resist because they're very modest and they don't want to be violated by the goy, by the non-Jew. So they'll resist and they'll offer themselves up and die, and even though it's not necessary, right? So we say that would bring them to tzakana. The Gemara says, "Lijush lemonis ishari." So no, the Gemara says no. Why don't we just teach them that they don't have to resist? Onish is mutter. If she's going to be in a situation that is beyond her control and she has to live with a non-Jew, so it's okay. No, we say no. Ike prutsos. We can't teach them that it's permissible because you have the women that are immodest. And the immodest women are going to take advantage of the situation. They're going to go out and have fun. So we can't let people know that it's in a public way that it's permissible. Ikanami kahunos. You also have women that are kahunas that they can't remain married to a kohen if they're violated, even by a non-Jew. So let's say in Ikra Gezerah, Avdi Butler with the Kanadra Mekami Gezerah. So we say let's just uproot the whole day of Yom Revi, the Avi the Betala. That they say no. The Gemara says no. Let's say the Akra. Let's say uproot the fourth day. We'll uproot the fourth day and we'll marry on another day. Rashi explains that if the governor is unsure what day the marriage is going to take place, he's not going to come. He's a lazy guy. He's really a lazy guy, right? So, if he knows that definitely the Jews have a marriage ceremony scheduled usually on Yom Revi, on the fourth day, so he'll come. He'll pick up and come because he's expecting to have some wedding ceremony waiting for him, right? But if he's in Suffolk, he's not going to get up and uproot himself simply to maybe take part in the wedding festivities. So therefore, we're not going to uproot the. So the suggestion was, let's uproot it. Let's not make it on Yom Revi, and we'll outsmart him. We know his teva, his nature is not to be uprooting himself and coming to find something on a doubtful situation. Only if it's vadai, only if it's definite. It's a definitely scheduled event. He's going to come. So we say, let's uproot the day of Yom Revi, and we'll pick other days. So Gezerah Avdi Libatala. No, the way things work is, the Gemara says, the Gezerah, meaning even though that the Goyim may make decrees against the Jews, it's only temporary. It's not going to last forever, right? But the Kantar the Rabbanan Kamai, and the Rabbanan that the Yom Revi should remain in place, and therefore Gezerah Lo Ikra. We're not going to uproot a din the Rabbanan because of a din of a Gezerah of the Goyim. So I have to stop here. Yeah. What? Yeah. Getting
You have
close.
Chanukah Gelt over here? Chanukah Gelt? Chanukah Gelt also?
No, you are. You are. They appointed you, I think.
The Rav gives us a Chanukah Gelt.
Okay, good.
What do you say? The Gemara only mentions the Nes of the Shem, and Al-Anesim doesn't mention it. Only mentions the
We
Milchah.
were talking about that, and they all asked the question, and they all give answers, but I didn't have a chance to prepare that answer in the question.
Yeah.
The question is a question, but the answer is, do you have any preference in terms of that?
I don't know. I just remember always hearing in my Rav that the Iker is the war, but the Nes of the Shemin is the sign of the Hashkacha. That's what I remember always hearing. I don't know if I'm curious to hear if you see it, if you hear anything else, but I don't know.
Yeah, okay. I'll be working on it. Good morning.